Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bomber Banter. This is the Round 8 Fiona's Forecast. If you are familiar with the Windy Hill Windsock podcast, you will be familiar with Fiona's Forecast. And if you are not, this is a show that I do with The Solution, a podcast show that I do with The Solution on a Friday. It gets released. And it is, as it sounds, it is a forecast to the upcoming game and thrown in some fun little segments. And all of those we'll be bringing to this channel. And you'll also still be able to listen to it via podcast through the Windy Hill Windsock podcast as well. So thank you just on this regard to everyone for all the support so far. It has been an incredible reaction to the live fan cam idea and to the channel, and the support has been amazing, overwhelming, but absolutely incredible. And I hope, and if you've referred or liked or shared, that's just a 2-minute thing for you, but to me, it's everything. So thank you again. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in The Solution, and we are going to bring you Fiona's Forecast Round 8. Hello.
Fiona, welcome to the Windy Hill Windsock. With me, The Solution, and joining me today is Fiona. Actually, who's in charge here? That's one thing we need to establish.
Well, I'm the boss, but I'm throwing over to you and making you the boss for the segment, as per usual, because I don't want you to feel like I've taken this away from you. So we need to keep the power balance in check.
So you're going to let me feel like I'm in charge, even though I'm not?
Exactly. The illusion.
Okay, I'll take that.
Are you happy with that?
I beg your pardon?
Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with that, yes. I'm happy with that premise. Just on the mask, by the way, I do need to address a couple of people weren't happy last time with my mask. They don't understand. I'm running against ops. So I have ops trying to hunt me down. There are other Essendon podcasts that take me out. So I need to move like this. I need to move in silence. But
just don't be watching, everyone, don't be watching Crime Stoppers late at night.
No, that's for sure. But hopefully you can hear me nice and clearly.
Yeah, we've got you nice and clear.
Well, I think other than the additional platform, it's going to be the same agenda. So we're going to have the changes, although we are doing this pre-selection. So there'll be the forecast changes. And then we'll do the Smoking and Sitting Joe, the Houdini Award, make a prediction, and finish with a couch question. So, given what happened on the weekend, have you got a word on the Anzac Day game, by the way? Because you weren't on our podcast. What's your sort of little 1-2 minute synopsis of what happened?
Yeah, look, the wash up from that game, and having rewatched the game, the replay, most of it, I still am adamant that I feel more buoyed than I feel upset. And purely because probably the opposition, the quality of opposition has a lot to do with that. But I think that perspective is important. The part that's really, really important here is to remember that we really took them and got in their heads a little bit in the second quarter for a majority of it, to be quite frank. And we forced them to really look within, dig deep, ask a lot of, their elder players, and I mean elder in Scott Pendlebury and Side Bottom, and it required a real extreme performance from those players. So I think that's an exceptional sign, because I just don't feel like it was it would have been that comprehensive in years gone by. I feel like the occasion, the moment, Collingwood's fast start would have overawed us, and we would have maybe, kicked 1 or 2 to stay just close enough. But we got within 3 points in that second quarter, and in an emphatic way. So we kept it in our forward line. We built a wall. Ridley was incredible. Even Redmond, despite not having a great game, had some really good moments. Reid, we can talk about him. And Mackay, we just rebounded everything back into our forward 50. And granted, there was the pressure inside forward 50 was up. And so we kept it in there and scored 4 in a row. So I just think it was more the way we did it than the fact that we did it that makes me feel quite positive. What about
So then
you?
we
How did
built.
you?
Well, I was going to ask. We built a wall, but then we fell off a cliff.
We did, but
So
I think we got. I think we got beat up around the ball because I think the Collingwood experience and the players they just hunted the ball harder, and I think we got shown up around the ball and also in the half forward line. Our pressure was not nearly enough in the forward 50 and around that half forward area, and so the ball just pinged straight back into our D50 and put a lot of pressure on the backs. So tale of two stories, I guess.
yeah, okay. So forecasting then the changes.
Well, what did
Uh,
you? What was your wash up on the game? Do you
oh,
share my sentiment that it's more of a positive than a negative?
mm, I I think I said it in our podcast. I said it actually in your post game as well. I just think that's who we are and where we are at the moment. So absolutely no surprises. We showed some good, and the most pleasing aspect through this season will always be when the kids play well. And so Reed's performance to me was what I'm hanging my hat on. Like that to me says, oh wow, we might have our key position defender for the next 10 years locked in. So it's things like that that make me really pleased. But as I also said in the post game, we still have, and particularly with the injuries of Caldwell and Draper, and maybe we'll throw Parrish in there. Although whether we can ever count on him to play a full season remains to be seen. But yeah, we do have too many average players compared to say the best teams to really be competing at the end of the year. So it is what it is. I'm philosophical.
Yeah, you really do sound like you're. But are you bordering on like we are who we are, like we're shit, or do you see like you're succumb to the fact that we're shit and we're going to be, meandering around this 11 foot to 18 on the ladder mark, or do you feel like there was enough there to show you that hope for the future or that we're on the right path? Sorry.
I'm in a Himalayan cave. I'm in the lotus position. I'm meditating, and I'm at one with our shitness. But I do think that's going to deliver us to Nirvana because we will secure 2 really good top 10 picks this year. I think with Dodoro gone, we'll make them count, and I think there's better days to come. It's just gonna again, it's gonna be patience that we require.
Okay.
So forecasting changes. Does Sardis
Did you
come in?
forget there that you were hosting for a second?
A little bit, a little. I was too busy meditating. Uh,
Down in the Himalayan cave. I told you.
what are your forecast changes? Did you watch any VFL, and do you um, have an inkling to who might come in?
I did watch a bit of the VFL. All I have to say from that is Zach Johnson, get excited. Not yet, but he's going to play footy. It could be, I reckon, I'm going to hedge my bets that toward the end of this year, when players need a rest or are looking tired, he'll get an opportunity. He's going to be really special. Yeah. But in saying that, I think we're going to go in unchanged, to be quite honest with you. I think the only change that I would do personally is I would just bring in our Hooley for Jones on the wing because he tried hard. He really did, Jones, and I'll never question his effort because he really did try hard, and he was crucial in one of the 4 goals, probably 2 of the 4 goals that we got in that second quarter. But I don't love that. And then that brings us a little bit smaller as well under the faster track at Marvel. And then you can make El Hooley the sub and get Menzie on and go with those three smalls, start with the three smalls. That's what I would do. But I suspect Brad's going to go in unchanged.
Do you think Shield will come up?
I think so. The way I just listened to the press conference, Brad Scott's press conference before we hit record today, and sounds like he was fine.
How does he keep getting cramped though? We discussed it on the podcast. It does seem strange.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the fan cams after the game, but I can only say that he trained all season for a backline position, and moving into the forward line the midfield the last couple of weeks, the aerobic capacity is just polar opposite what's required in the midfield compared to what's required from a halfback. So I'm not super concerned about that because, as I said, if there's anything you can put on Dylan Shield, it's that he keeps himself fit and healthy as can be. So I'm not super concerned about that. Look, I don't think it's hurt us, if that makes any difference in terms of the outcome of the game.
Yeah. No, I probably disagree. I think we might make some changes, even just to refresh our
Maybe
legs.
Dylan Shield out, start us in.
Dylan Shield, possibly Dursma, guys who aren't quite 100%. And maybe Tsardas might come in, and even a Davey, just to add some fresh legs.
There were
But
whispers that Martin was nursing something. So
he kind of looked like it, didn't he?
yeah, he did a little bit, but that's also positional as well. I just think he's being used more on, as you know, Scotty said on the fan cams, more on the wing in a defensive role rather than an offensive role. As much as we all might not like it, I think that's just part of it. But he could be carrying something. They could freshen him up. In which case, yeah, Al Hawley would be the obvious in for him. Yeah, few options.
Yeah, we shall see. All right. Assuming nothing changes, who is the Houdini? And the Houdini, I guess I should. There's new listeners who aren't familiar with our segments. The Houdini is the guy that probably should be dropped, but yeah, I remember there was a string where years ago Andrew Welsh couldn't. No, it wasn't Andrew Welsh. Who's the little guy that went to Freo? He looked like a mini Andrew Welsh. Oh my god, this is going to kill me. Anyways, this guy who couldn't get a kick for like a whole season and just got picked every week. One of the listeners will remind me. But anyway, it's the guy that should get dropped, but clearly has photos of somebody, and so doesn't get dropped and keeps playing a senior game. Who will be the Houdini this week, do you think?
Well, it's your award, so I'll let you award the Houdini.
I think it could be Gresh if he plays again. I think he's been pretty average. He's won 2 Hennemans in a row on our podcast. And, if he's not in the forward line, threatening to kick goals, lane tackles, I think he's pretty average as a guy who comes up the ground. I don't know that he gives us anything more than a number of other guys that we could bring in, that like Al Hooley that you mentioned, or even a Tsardas. So, yeah, he's probably my Houdini.
I know I don't. He's probably 50-50 for me around the contest when he gets up the ground. I don't know his stats, but I don't know how many he's won versus how many he's kind of made into a score or gotten out to an Essendon player. But I don't love him around the contest. So I would personally, I would really like to see our smaller forwards not push so high up the ground. Or I guess that's a benefit of having 3 in the team. If you do have 2, if you do have 3, 2 can sit back and 1 can push high up.
But then how are they going to be a marking? How are they going to be a marking target if they don't move up the ground?
Oh, I mean, we have to keep part of our DNA. We've got to carry out throughout the generations and the decades, don't we?
It's been decades. It really has. It really has been decades. Alwyn Davey, we love to kick it on his head.
Will we never work out that is just not the way to go?
Do you
I
know
don't
what
know what it
started
is.
it? What started it, and this is for the older listeners. Do you remember Alan Ezard, or do you know the name?
No.
So he was in our premiership years in the 80s. I think he finished in 93 possibly, or 94, and he was a small rover, and he took a couple of speckies over Justin Madden. Not
Ah,
Simon, Justin. Justin was the tallest ruckman in the league. I think ever since that time, we've just continued to kick long to our smallest guy on the ground, and then usually handball to the ruckman afterwards.
right. Okay. So we're just hoping that we see some of history repeating itself.
Uh, Possibly, but yeah, I agree entirely with Gresham. And our other small forwards, stay in the forward line. Start crumbing.
There was
Be a
one
seagull.
contest. There was one contest where the ball came in, Langford halved the contest, it came to ground, the Collingwood player got the ball, Langford pressured him into fumbling with the ball. Paco then pounced on it, and then two Collingwood players were there to pressure him. He then dropped the ball, but there was no third Essendon player or Essendon small to then follow up on that work. But the Collingwood players
Mm,
had transitioned into that mode and were there to clean up the mess. And I thought to myself, Kako's just there bouncing off one player to the next, which we saw from Devon Smith a lot. He would run like a maniac to one, miss the tackle because he'd
yep.
run 20 meters, and then he'd run like a maniac to the next one and ping ponging off opponents, and they were just playing, keep things off with him.
And then you
Kako,
give
there
him
was
best on ground.
how will I warn you about this? It was happening to Kako in the game, and I thought, far out. That's where you need the extra third, either the medium forward. So either Perkins has got to, stop playing a defensive role on an opposition backman, or you need that third small forward on the ground, not interchanging. You know.
Mm.
So, but in saying that, I would be totally okay if it was Davey and Gresham out. So, yeah, he's probably on his last legs, or starts as a sub again, or yeah, sits out. Yeah.
All right. So now we move to the sitting Joe and the smoking Joe. Now, for new listeners or viewers, uh, this is the sort of we're trying to guess who's going to raise their level in the game and who's going to sink a level down. Obviously, the smoking Joe is Joe City, one of my favourite players of all time, by the way. And the sitting Joe kind of is in remembrance of the time Joe Danaher decided to sit on the fence. Who would have thought
I
that
still
guy would
can't
turn out
believe
to
he
be a
did.
friend? No,
I still can't
neither
believe he
can I.
did that in a game. Like, we do this segment every week, and I just thought about it the other day when I was making the weekly the video. And I thought, I cannot believe he did that mid game. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a different cat, old Joe.
he was. He was, and
Um,
now a premiership player. But I've got
yes.
the smoking Joe this week. So look, I'm going to give it to the guy I gave the sitting Joe last week, because I think he had a really, really poor Anzac Day game last week, and I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. His pride is going to allow him another bad game. So I'm going to give it to Xavier Dersma. Very sorry if I jinxed you last week against Collingwood by giving you the sitting Joe, but I'm giving you this smoking Joe this week, and I just think you've got it in you. I think you're going to run the socks off Fisher and the likes of their wingmen, of North Melbourne's wingmen, and I think you're going to smoke the game.
Is he healthy enough to smoke?
Yeah, he's perfectly fine. I just think he had a bad game.
Okay.
I mean, saying that, I'm not a doctor, A, and B, I'm not in the medical room. So, I said that with authority, but with no authority at all, he's fine.
Uh,
Who's the
yeah.
sitting Joe?
Good question. I was
And we
tempted to
say
give.
this. We say this in the hopes that it's a anti-jinx. This is not a diss on a player or anything like that. It's just someone has to come last, basically. in champion data, in performance on the ground, and someone has to get worse on, basically. And so that's what the sitting Joe is.
Yeah, sometimes colloquially known as the moz. If we can moz somebody and then they do the exact opposite, then we've done our job. It's a really good question. I was tempted to give it to Goldie just because I don't know. I think he's almost like I wish he could be like an oil rig worker where he just does 2 weeks on and then 2 weeks off, then flies in, does another 2 weeks. I don't know he'll be able to come up consistently. And his first game back, he's played on the heavy ground uh, on Anzac Day. Uh, but I think he might try and lift against his old team.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I think it might be a game because he's been good the last couple of weeks. So I should acknowledge that. And I'm not his biggest fan, but I think Andy McGrath might regress a little bit. I think for some reason he plays better at the G than at Marvel.
Yeah, more space for him to run around in circles somewhat.
I don't know, but I'll go Andy McGrath. But I've been very pleased with his form in the last couple of weeks, and I do believe giving him a task and a lockdown role is the best use of his athleticism, and he is a leader as a person. I'm not sure he leads from the front with his disposal, but he is a leader, and I think when he shuts down the best small forward in the opposition, it gives that back line a lift.
Yeah, he was exceptional on Friday. Bobby Hill is dangerous. He's a Norm Smith. He is a dangerous small forward, and even he conceded post game that playing on Andy is a task. And
Oh, he said that, did he?
he absolutely did in an interview. So he said he hates it, but it makes him a better player. So props have to go to Andy. He was in Bobby Hill's head all day, and he got the better of him. There's no way about it. I thought his disposal was perfectly fine. And so, yeah, he had a really good game. And I think any criticism of him is being just uh, a bias that you have internally set and unwillingness to put aside bias, because he did everything you'd want from a lockdown defender to a rebounding small defender basically. But yeah, okay. I actually don't think Goldie would have been a bad shout, only because their ruckman is in very, very good form. And in fact, I've seen a lot of media people saying that he's even going better than Max Gawn. So their ruckman Tristan Sherry
Mm.
is like top 10, top 11 for contested possession as a ruckman. So he's fit, he's agile, he does most of the rucking, gets a chop out from Jack Darling, but essentially is like an extra midfielder, essentially, basically. So he does a lot of work, hard yards for the Roos. So Goldstein probably we're just going to have to just deal with the fact that he's probably going to get the better of Goldie, but Goldie will battle.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move to the prediction then. I just realised too, I've got North Melbourne colours on, which you don't worry about this shit when you're just doing audio, but yeah,
Yeah,
maybe that'll work with the mods.
I did have a little moment when I logged in here, a little moment of regret. What the hell am I doing? Fiona, what are you doing? You've committed to showing your face and posting it online 3 times a week, which means you no longer can record stuff in your pajamas, in your trackies, looking like a bum, like a homeless person, like I usually do when I
Well,
do
you
the
can,
podcast.
you
I
can.
actually have to look somewhat presentable. Well, you can, and yes, I don't yell at me in the comments. It's my responsibility. I know I can totally not do my hair and not get dressed and all of that. But yeah, you men have it just so good. But anyway, I won't open the channel up to men versus women.
We have to trim our nasal hairs once a month. Come on, we've got a heart too.
I mean, my heart bleeds. It just bleeds.
Uh, what?
Predictions. Yeah. Watching the Hawks take apart West Coast yesterday afternoon, I thought to myself, yeah, this is a good reminder that Essendon don't put away teams. So a part of
Mm,
me was thinking, oh yeah, we'll really run over North Melbourne, and we'll have a big win. And then I got
we don't
reminded
do
that,
run over. No,
yeah,
we don't do.
so
If you're a native fauna on an Australian highway, you're more than happy if Essendon's driving past. There's no roadkill.
oh
We don't
yeah,
run anyone over.
no, 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 no. We are not at that level. Absolutely not. We let teams get a sniff and get momentum for a chunk of time. We let them rob us essentially of momentum. And that's around the ball. It's not the
Mm,
defenders, it's not the small forward. Well, it is the small forwards, but it's around the ball. And it's also our pressure inside 50. And I think that will improve with three small forwards in the team because, well, three small forwards is meaning two are permanently down there, basically. Anyway, enough of that. In saying all that, we're going to have to be on our toes in the midfield. Oh boy, how we missed Caldwell last week, didn't we?
yeah,
It was
yeah,
really
very good
noticeable.
point.
That contested beast, my king. We missed him, and I think we're going to miss him again because if anywhere that Kangaroos are strong, it's with all their 623 first round draft picks in the midfield there. So we're going to have to be really good. As I said, Sherry's going to give them first look more often than not. So we're going to have to, be on our toes. North Melbourne as a team, they can be really, really good, really fast. They can transition really well, but they're a team of conditional players at the moment. Their group are conditional because they're young and inexperienced and still focused internally on their own performances. And so the pressure is conditional. It's not just a all in every time. We're a bit in that same boat, but we might just have more quality senior players than they do. And that's saying
Mm.
something because some of our senior boys need to probably step up. But I'm looking at our Ridley, our Merritt, our Langford versus their Simkin, their Daniels, Darling. And I think we just get a notch above them. So in saying all that, Don's by 14 points.
See, I reckon they're a bit like West Coast. I think they really treat this game as important. They view us as a rival, even though I've said to them before, "You're our lil bro. You're not." There's Carlton, there's Essendon, there's Collingwood, to a lesser extent Hawthorn. They're the rivals. I know you had your little marshmallow thing. I know we had a little bit of a rival in the late 90s, but really, you're still lil bro to us. So you're not our rival. But I think they think we're their rival and they tend to lift against us.
And now they've got the added Ben Mackay element. My God, does he live rent free in their heads?
So I think,
They they live and breathe on his every possession. They grasp onto his every kick, his every turnover, and when he does something good, blind, automatically blind.
yeah.
He's in their heads rent free and will be forevermore.
I mean, that said, we did have a segment on our podcast called Judas Watch where we used to track Joe Danaher's performances, but that was more about us enjoying Brisbane fans kind of losing their shit over the Joe Danaher experience, which was always
Yeah.
up and
And
down.
look, I'm self-aware enough to say that he lived in my head rent free. No props. But I didn't go bagging him. That was an internal adjustment, an internal struggle. I didn't go bagging him and
Mm,
on social media and resting on his every poor performance, letting that determine how well I slept at night. But
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
big enough to say that him leaving destroyed me and I never got over it and I'm still bitter about it to this day. That's what self-awareness is. But it's when you
yes,
use that in a negative way and let it, manifest in a very negative way, which is what the North, oof, they are I don't know. Have you seen some of their carry on about him on X?
I I get periodically trolled on my account by North
Oh,
supporters. Not even about Ben, just in general. Yeah, they need to get a life, I think. But when you have been languishing for that long and been poor as long as they have, we kind of know the feeling. But maybe they don't have much else going on. But anyway, I think they'll fire up. I think they'll uh, be slightly fresher for some reason. Uh, yeah, I think they might just roll us. But no, I went with 5 points on our podcast. I'll say we'll win by 5. I think we've just got a little bit too much talent. A little bit too much.
okay.
But yeah, it's
What
going to
these
be nail biting.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm already exhausted. I'm already annoyed. I'm already feeling all the feelings that I felt from West Coast's game. They're just, how is this happening feeling?
Yeah, yeah.
So I hope that the Marvel effect, but they love Marvel too. So I don't know that that's going to give us any greater advantage.
Yeah, a good point. Uh, and it's on Thursday night too, which is kind of, I
Shit.
guess, a marquee game, which is interesting.
Yeah. What game did we play on Thursday? It was the West Coast game. It was Thursday, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Um. Yeah.
No, that was Good Friday evening, wasn't it?
No.
No, you're right. You're right. Sorry,
I
sorry.
don't think we had
I'm
a Good
losing the
Friday
plot.
game. Yeah, no, I mean the point is I was just gonna say that, oh God, these Thursday night games just screw with the routine,
Hmm.
with the routine that you have for yourself. Um, but it's okay. I think it's our last one for a while. Well, I think we've got 3 more to be honest for the season, but it's our last one for a while.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we at least put on a show. All right. So now we move to the couch. Now, while I grab my phone with the couch questions, do you want to explain what the couch is?
Of course, in true Windsock style, he's not prepared with the for this segment. But essentially, I have a great passion for psychology and philosophy as much as I do football, to be honest. And I have done a decade plus of work in that space on myself and into all things psychology. So basically, the couch is a segment where you send in questions to us anonymously through the NGL app. The link is pinned to my X profile, Fiona Rose T, and you can send them at any time. They don't have to be footy related. In fact, better that they're not fully footy related. Any issues you're having in life, challenges, predicaments, relation about your relationships, work, friendships, absolutely anything. Nothing is off the table. I will do my best to give you advice from my years of experience and my own trials and tribulations and work I've done to overcome some of those things. Um, if I can help even one person, that is a good day. So that is what the couch segment is. Very popular. I get a lot of feedback in regards to it. So I had a really amazing message last week after last week's couch that almost actually did make me very emotional. So as I said, if one person is getting something from it, then that's all the more motivation I need to do it. So
Yeah,
hit
and
me,
some questions are slightly less serious than others.
of course.
And so
Some
when I look,
very, very bonkers.
yes, so when I look at the a bunch of them we got this week, there's some interesting listeners out there. I guess if they listen to us, we know they're not normal for a start. That baseline's already been established. Uh, but this
What it
comes,
does do though is it makes me feel a little bit better about all the crazy shit that goes on in my head. So thank you for that, for your weirdness, listeners.
well, I want to know whether this goes through your head. You ready? This week's
Okay.
question. I keep dreaming I kill people. What does that say about me? I keep dreaming, I kill people. What does that say about me?
I mean, the first thing I would say, do you know what that made me think of? This is just completely not relevant, but it made me think of Harry Potter and when he dreams that he's the basilisk and they ask him what is the dream and he says, I am the basilisk, being the snake, killing or hurting someone, not just
Mm.
looking at the snake hurting someone. Sorry, that was a detour. Look, firstly, I would say I don't think that's abnormal. I don't think you should be worried that it's not normal or start to panic about it. My first instinct would say, aside from Harry Potter, would say that you just have a lot of suppressed rage because it's coming out in your when we go to sleep. That's when our conscious gets to rest, and our subconscious, which is beneath what lies beneath, and how we really feel and what we've pushed down for the day or the week or the month. It basically gets to come out and have its moment in the sun and comes out to play. So if you're dreaming about violence, which is what murder is, I guess, I would suggest that that's telling you that you've got a lot of unresolved rage and anger, which we all have, and it is completely healthy. In fact, it is a requirement and completely appropriate that you have anger against anything. It doesn't have to even be rational. If you are rageful, that the okay, I've lost the solution, but I'm going to continue on my rant here until he reappears. Dodgy Wi-Fi, I would say. Okay, he's back. We lost you,
Yeah, I
literally.
don't know what happened there. I got booted.
Okay. I was just saying that it's completely normal. The rage, as I said, if you are raging that the barista fucked up your coffee order, that is, it's not actually about the coffee. If your emotions and
Mm.
your rage is bigger than the moment is intending or requiring, you know that the coffee is just the vehicle to what you're really angry about, and it's just manifesting in that. So the
Can I,
rage you
can I
have underneath.
sorry, one thing we do need to clarify, is he or she dreaming or are they daydreaming about killing? If they're sitting there going, "Oh, wouldn't it be good to kill someone?" That would be a concern.
No, it wouldn't. That's completely
No?
appropriate as well. That's healthy. That's actually healthy. Is there anybody here who has not dreamt about killing someone? I would call you a liar.
Um,
Tell me in the comments because I would think you are a liar. I'm not saying you've plotted a plan to kill someone, but I mean in a moment of rage, after someone's done something to you, if you've been through extreme trauma, I would say it's a completely appropriate feeling, and to be honest, it's probably a healthy one because if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. It's when you suppress
mm,
that turns you into the psychopath, to be quite honest.
I was gonna disagree with you, but I thought about the times I've thought about, strangling Sam Mitchell. Yeah, I guess you're right.
That's a case
Um,
in point. And
I
it's no there's no shame. As I said, it's completely normal and it's recommended. I implore you to find those feelings inside you because they are there in everybody. And it's the people who deny them that have pushed them down so deep that one day when things are exploding in their life, a tsunami is going to happen and it's going to create a huge issue in their life. So I would say that your dream, if you're continually dreaming about this, not daydreaming or daydreaming as well, I would say that that's your subconscious pushing you to release some of the rage you have. Write it down. Personally, the way I release it is through running. That is my only way I can focus on literally nothing else but my breath and the moment. And so when I'm not watching Essendon wins on the treadmill, I am in a boxing ring in my head and releasing all my rage. I find I can't do it if I'm actually boxing because I'm focusing on my form, I'm focusing on my hips, my
Okay.
shoulders. But when I'm running, all I'm doing is running, and my body knows what to do. I don't have to think about it. So find your way. If that's bashing a pillow, I also have a slam ball, a slam ball, 10 kg slam ball that also does the trick. But again, you need to focus on your form, your back, a bit of everything. So I find the running helps. But you could be riding, rage riding, or smashing a pillow, whatever, listening to really angry music. Just find your way. That's what I would suggest.
Well, I've just
You don't
consulted.
strike me. You don't strike me as someone who has a rage way. Do you have a rage way solution? A rage
My ancestor,
inducing.
I do have an ancestor from Scotland, so I've got like a little temper, but it kind of I goes up for like 1 second, then back down again. Yeah, so I don't really have a rage. What's the question? A rage way?
Yeah, a way that you release your anger and your rage so it doesn't take home inside your soul and then fester there for years and years.
No, I don't. But then again, if you watch me at the football, possibly you might disagree because I
Actually,
don't mind
yeah.
yelling. Yeah.
Yes, actually, you've always said that that's a really good release for you
Hmm.
at the
It is.
football.
And then
And
and
so
then
every now and then when you're sitting next to me, I can kind of feel you go from a stage 5 to a stage 11. And I feel like I
yeah,
think to myself, I reckon there was a bit in that umpire abuse.
yeah. Only when it's warranted. Only when it's warranted. All right. Well,
Generally always is, no?
yeah. Usually that Geelong game last year, I reckon I
Oh.
was at a 57. Forget 11.
Yeah, let's not
No,
talk.
let's
Speaking of
not go
rage,
there.
let's not.
No. Well, I think we're done. So that's it for the forecast Bomber Banter collab episode 1.
Yes, so just to confirm, this will be a weekly thing posted on a Tuesday evening, will be in your YouTube streams. When will you get this up? Because you're still going to post it on the chat on your podcast, aren't you?
Yeah, probably be up Wednesday, but the only difference might be the intro. So if you miss the intro, tune into our podcast. But if you've just listened to the whole way through and you're listening to the end, no need to click on that, I suspect.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me and agreeing.
Pleasure.
It did take a little bit of convincing, didn't it, to bring this into the YouTube channel space. But I am very, very glad and thankful to you for your time. And one thing you don't need to do and worry about now is editing and all the logistical behind the scenes things. So
That was
go
the
forth
clincher
and
that yeah, that was the clincher that convinced me. It's like, oh, less work? I'm in. Sign me up.
yeah. So you can now go forth and continue your day and don't worry about having to do anything with this. I will take care of that. So on that, thank you so much for being with me for Fiona's Forecast Round 8. We are certainly on a roll now into the season. Thank you, and I will speak to you soon.
See you guys.
Okay, that is it for Fiona's forecast for round 8. I will see you all. Wednesday night I will see you all. Only for this week because we play on a Thursday, so team selection will be Wednesday night, not Thursday night. I'm going to give you all a chance to sit with the team selections, the changes, and kind of confer your emotions and think about it, have a bit of dinner, and then we'll kickstart the live fan cam for the team selections at 7 p.m. That's Wednesday night this week, but moving forward will be every Thursday night as per when the teams are released, 7 p.m. So I will see you all tomorrow night. Thank you so much for watching this. Please, if you are watching this and have not subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe and the like button. Any comments are welcome. Any discussion is welcome. And any shares, of course, are welcome with any Bomber fanatics that you know. I really appreciate your support as always. Thank you, and I'll chat to you all soon.